curative power of medicines depend on their symptoms, similar to the disease, but superior to it in strength. The curative power of the remedies is due to the fact that this dynamic affection, the dynamic form of remedies is stronger, superior in strength, is stronger than the disease. Correct? So that each individual case of disease is most surely, radically, rapidly, and permanently annihilated and removed only by a medicine capable of producing in the most similar and complete manner the totality of its symptoms, which at the same time are stronger than the disease. He insists that the fact that the remedy cures the disease is because the remedy, the power of the remedy, is stronger than the power of the disease. So I'll read some more. As this natural law of cure manifests itself in every pure experiment and every true observation in the world, the fact is consequently established. It matters little what may be the scientific explanation of how it takes place. Now, for the first time, Hahnemann has a doubt of what he states. Until this time, Hahnemann has said, there is no experience in the world, there is nobody in the world who can say this is not so. This is the first and the only time where he mentions, I read it again, so it matters little, I don't care what may be the scientific explanation of how it takes place, how this cure takes place. It's not important for me, but I will tell you my idea. And I do not attach much importance to the attempts made to explain it. How you explain it. I don't attach much importance. But the following view seems to commend itself, seems correct, as the most probable explanation, as it is founded on premises derived from experiences. As every disease consists only in a special mobic dynamic alteration of our vital energy, manifested in sensation and motion, so in every homeopathic cure this principle of life dynamically altered is seized through the administration of a medicinal process, etc. Okay. So, do you understand what he says? The remedy is more powerful than the disease. Therefore, what it does, he will explain later on, it takes hold of the disease, it suppresses the disease, and whatever left over is out of this powerful intervention with the remedy, then with time also goes away. That means he understands that there are some symptoms that may be left over belonging to the remedy after the cure, but these remaining symptoms will just go away with time. This is his explanation, and he maintains, he thinks that the cure takes place because the remedy is more powerful than the disease. So when it's a weaker dynamic affection, it's overwhelmed by a stronger one, and this goes away. I was reading this by that time, I remember, and also I remember I was trying when they asked me, people ask me how this happens, and I could not persuade them with this explanation. So I said to myself, something else is happening. Also, I did not understand myself. How is that possible that this is not a suppression? Because if it's stronger, suppresses. So eventually, I came to the realization of what really happens, which I will give you my explanation, so you can judge which of the two explanations is the most probable. The symptomatology develops after the defense mechanism has been triggered by a morbific influence, right? An inimical influence. Something attacks the organism, whether physical or psychic, and the organism reacts with a totality of symptoms, okay? So therefore, this reaction, why the organism does this reaction? So Kahneman gave his logic, and I will give you my logic, right? And see. So why what the symptoms represent? We say it's a reaction of the vital force, the symptom, a reaction. Yes, a reaction for what? The reason there is a reaction and the specific symptoms that the organism develops is in order to cure itself. That's why the organism brings out symptoms, is in order to re-establish the balance. An example, which we'll understand. Your organism is attacked by a bacteria or a microbe. The first thing we see is what? The raising of the temperature of the body. Fever, high fever. High fever. And after 2-3 days, whether it takes medicine or not, doesn't matter, 3-5 days, the whole thing subsides. The organism comes back to normal. He was attacked, reacted, and because he reacted, he did what? Why he raised the fever? Because the organism realizes that these microbes that enter my body are so violent, are so virulent, that I have to do something. Otherwise, I will die. What can I do? I can raise the temperature so I know that these microbes can only live in an environment which is less than 40.2 temperature. If I raise my temperature to 40.3, they die. This is the idea of the process of an acute disease which has a prodromal period. In the prodromal period, which is the multiplication of the microbes, bacteria, virus, etc. Prodromal period. Then it comes the main period where we have the reaction of the organism. Once the organism realizes, oh, the bacteria are overwhelming me, starts the reaction. The reaction raises the temperature, and eventually comes the lysis, the resolution of the acute, which is either cure or death. See, if the microbes need a temperature of 40.3 and the organism can raise up to 39.8, the microbes keep on multiplying, and then the organism tries more and more, and finally gets very tired and succumbs and dies. So the ending of every acute condition is either naturally, either a cure by itself, by the reaction of the organism, or a death if the organism is not able to bring up a strong enough reaction. So I understood this, that this is the reason why we have symptoms. But if that is true, that symptoms are useful for the organism which is manifesting them, if they are useful, then should not be suppressed. Because if you suppress them, if you have a way to suppress them, then you will have side effects. Somewhere else will find the organism a way to diffuse the problem. So with antibiotics, we know what happens. We have found ways to suffocate the microbes through antibiotics, and in this way we attack the microbe with antibiotics. With homeopathy, how we treat and were successful in treating acute conditions? By the similar remedy. What is the similar remedy? You see, you must remember, we have given a remedy that produced in healthy organisms a totality of symptoms. We take this remedy, which produces similar symptoms with the organism under observation, and we take this remedy and give it to this organism. But if this remedy had produced similar symptoms with those of the organism, and you give this remedy, instead of going over and suppress the manifestation, what will do? You have the mechanics is that the organism is produced in order to save itself, produces symptomatology. And then you take a remedy that produces similar symptomatology and you give it to the same organism. You say, for God's sake, oh my God, what's going to happen? You will kill the organism. Because the remedy you give will make symptoms worse. Because it is the same mechanism, right? The same mechanism. The organism, when receives that particular substance, reacts in a similar way like is reacting during disease. So you give on top of the disease, on top of the reaction that has produced the organism, you give a remedy to increase the reaction of the organism.